by. For more on this, let's welcome Jack Jacobs, retired U.S. Army Colonel, Medal of Honor winner, and an NBC News military analyst. Thanks for joining us. Let me just start by asking you, Colonel, does Putin know what he's going to do right now? Has he made up his mind, regardless of what happens between now and he either pulls back or invades?
Well, for a long time, everybody thought he didn't know, that he hadn't made a decision. But I think it's quite clear what he's planning to do, because he's already started to do it. Foment internal dissension among ethnic Russians inside Ukraine, so that eventually they ask for assistance from Russia. Russia conducts a limited objective attack, which from NATO's standpoint is the least desirable outcome. I mean, a desirable outcome is he leaves and says, that was really just field training exercises to start with. Another one, it's not desirable, but it's easier to deal with, is he conducts a full-scale invasion with 150,000 troops. And then NATO is fully in back of our imposing draconian economic results on them, taking them off the SWIFT system and all the rest of that. I don't think he's going to do that at all. And neither does anybody else who's at the top of the food chain in the military establishment. He's going to use some pretext to conduct a limited objective attack, because he knows that our allies, but particularly Germany, has said that if he does something other than conduct a large-scale attack, we're not necessarily certain that we're on your side in imposing these draconian measures, at least partially because the largest proportion of energy coming from Russia into Europe generally, and Germany in particular, it comes from Russia, it goes to Germany. So they're not particularly interested in supporting us under those circumstances. And Putin, I'm afraid, understands that, Joe.
Right. Germany and Italy likely would, if it was limited like that, we might not get the backing that we would look for. So what are how many scenarios do you see? One, he could pull back and not do anything. Two, he could just continue to destabilize it by staying there and doing cyber attacks. Three, he could go into those separatist areas in a limited fashion and say, I needed to secure those to protect the Russians from genocide that they're being subject to. Or four, he could go in and take, do you call it Kyiv now? Everybody calling it, I thought it was Chicken Kiev, but now we're calling it Kyiv. If he goes in and takes the entire, takes the capital, that would be seen as a complete invasion and maybe takeover of Ukraine itself.
Yeah, to use a terrible cliche, it's a marathon and not a sprint. I think your two limited objective options are the ones he's going to follow. Continue to foment instability inside Ukraine, particularly among separatists, Russian separatists inside Ukraine, and continue what military people call non-kinetic measures, lots of cyber attacks, attacking the grid and so on. They've tried it a couple of times as a test, but I think it's going to be those things over a long period of time, relatively long period of time, make life extremely difficult for Ukraine and the allies. Our allies, they're going to get tired of all this after a while, and they're not going to be on our side after a year or 18 months of this stuff. Not to be snarky, but just as an aside, make believe that you're Putin and his henchmen living in a country, an autocratic country with no controls and no oversight, and you decide to do the following. You go long energy, you're short the Dow, and then you put 150,000 troops on the border with Ukraine. And then every once in a while you say, well, we pulled them back just after you've squared up, and you keep doing it. You know, lather, rinse, repeat. You keep doing this and you make yourself $1 trillion. It's good insurance against any problems that the United States might impose with sanctions, Joe.